Y'all, I am here this afternoon to proclaim to you all the story of God's salvation. And I think the best way to sum up that story is like this. There once was a man named Jesus, whose ministry truly doth please us. To save us from strife, he gave up his life, and doing so forever frees us. Now, I've never told that story in limerick form before, but it seemed like the best time to do it in honor of John MacDougall. Not that I'd be able to use any of his limericks in this service. So, sorry, Dad, it's just church appropriate. But that captures the story. That captures the story of God's saving love for John. It's a story that began from before he was even born. A story of a young man named John MacDougall who was born and as a young man trying to figure out right from wrong. And sometimes he got it right, and sometimes he got it wrong. But whether right or wrong, God was there with him every step of the way. He grew up and went to serve his country in war. And I'm sure there were some times that he was brave, and sometimes he was afraid. But whether brave or afraid, God was there with him every step of the way. He went on to serve as a doctor, trying to strive to heal and save lives, and sometimes he was successful, and sometimes he failed. But whether successful or failing, God was there with him every step of the way. He raised a family, 2 families, one great big family that now includes all of y'all gathered here today. And I know sometimes in those relationships, sometimes it's easy, and sometimes it's hard. Whether easy or hard, God was there with him every step of the way. And in the 95 years of his life, sometimes there were moments where faith came easy, and sometimes he had doubts. But whether he believed or he doubted, God was there with him every step of the way. And it would be tempting. It would be tempting for all of us to look now and see this as the end of John's story. But I am here to proclaim to you all that this is not the end of his story, but the end of just a chapter. For we believe that God's love is more powerful even than death itself. John grew up in a church where he was taught that Jesus loved him so much, that God loved him so much, he would come and dwell with him and show him in person that not even death itself would stop him from loving him. And I think if we look around the room, we can see that that love does not end. Do y'all love John any less right now than you did 2 years ago? You still tell the stories. You still share the limericks. Right? He continues to still touch your lives, and you still make choices and live your life informed by that relationship you had with him. That is God at work in this world. That is the gift that God gave to John, that he shared with all of you, and that now you get to take and share with others. You get to continue to tell the stories, to take the lessons he taught you and teach others. We'll take his grandkids and continue to help them be formed and shaped by his life every bit as much now as before. So his death is not the end of the story, but the end of a chapter. And we get to continue to tell his story and say thanks be to God. So the best way I think we can show our thanks is to tell those stories. I'll do my best one more time. There once was a man who was frugal, yet answered God's call like a bugle. To heal, serve, and tinker, he was a feeler and a thinker. Thanks be to God for John MacDougall.
Well done.